Hi there, a very warm welcome. You're watching The World Report on NDTV World. My name is Kitty Bahel. Let's start this edition. Tahawwur Rana, accused in the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks, has filed an appeal with US Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, requesting a halt to his extradition to India on health grounds. As per Top Court's website, Rana's plea has been circulated among the judges for discussion during a scheduled conference on April 4, 2025. He is seeking a stay on his extradition while litigation over his habeas corpus petition continues. This comes days after the US Supreme Court Judge Elena Kagan rejected his review petition. In his application, Rana had argued that he would not survive long enough to be tried in India due to various health-related reasons. According to the Department of Homeland Security, a Georgetown University researcher, Indian national Badar Khan Suri, has been detained by US immigration authorities on allegations of spreading Hamas propaganda. His lawyer has denied the claims and has filed a lawsuit for his release. Suri was taken into custody outside his Virginia home and is currently being held in Louisiana. Georgetown University has said that Suri was legally in the US on a visa and had not engaged in any known illegal activity. His detention follows the arrest of another pro-Palestinian activist last week, raising concerns over academic freedom and free speech. Ukrainian President Zelensky has agreed to a partial ceasefire with Russia, focused on energy and other civilian infrastructure. Zelensky, who spoke after an hour-long phone call with President Donald Trump, said that it was a first step in what the Ukrainian leader said he hoped would be lasting peace more than 3 years after his country was invaded by Moscow. According to reports, Israel's renewed assault on Gaza continues for a third day. At least 58 people were killed in pre-dawn attacks, including at least 20, as a result of shelling in Khan Yunis in the south. The Israeli military has also launched targeted ground activities in Gaza, partially recapturing a key area in the territory, a day after launching an aerial bombardment of the Strip that shattered the 2-month-old ceasefire with Hamas. On the latest strikes against Hamas, Israeli ambassador to India Reuben Azar says diplomacy has failed, further adding that's why they have renewed their military pressure to create a situation in which Hamas changes mind or face defeat. Here is what he told NDTV.
It's a tough time that we are speaking, but one of the first things I want to ask you is that both parties are accusing the other of breaking the ceasefire, which is why you've seen those attacks that have taken place. What's the rationale for Israel to attack at a time when, which is also the holy month of Ramzan, where the attacks have taken place in the last 36 hours?
Well, Gauri, as you probably remember, we agreed to a 42-day temporary ceasefire in order to negotiate the resolution of this conflict, which means bringing back our hostages and make sure that Hamas cannot rearm and regroup and continue controlling the Gaza Strip. Unfortunately, Hamas has rejected the proposals of the American mediator time and again and has stopped releasing hostages. We had to go back to military pressure. This is something that is also backed by the United States, because if we cannot achieve this achievement diplomatically, we have to do it militarily.
Okay. So, but again, the accusation has been that there was no rejection by Hamas, because these attacks have been condemned by countries the world over. And what's the rationale for continuing it? And more importantly, how long are you going to continue these attacks?
Well, first of all, it is a fact that they rejected the American proposals because the American administration has stated that. So we are fully coordinated with our American friends, and condemnations cannot replace the fact that we have a terrorist organization in the Gaza Strip that is not only holding hostages from Israel, they are holding hostage the entire Palestinian population. They are taking the humanitarian aid that the world is sending, selling it to the population, blending into the population, and trying to extort a surrender from Israel. This is not going to happen. It's ridiculous. So what we expect from the international community is to put pressure on Hamas and create peace in our region through a diplomatic process that will take the top brass of Hamas out of Gaza, will give hope to the Palestinian people with a new moderate leadership that can actually allow real assistance from the world in reconstruction of the Gaza Strip, in a better future for Palestinian people. This is what is the common interest. So whoever says that we shouldn't use military power basically says that we have to surrender to a terrorist organization that will continue, having a grip on Gaza forever. This cannot be acceptable.
US President Donald Trump has hinted that India may soon reduce tariffs on American goods. Speaking to Breitbart News, Trump said he believes New Delhi will lower trade barriers, but warned that if it does not, the US will impose reciprocal tariffs starting April 2nd. India has not officially responded to Trump's remarks, but trade relations between the two countries have been a point of contention, particularly over tariffs on agricultural and industrial products. Donald Trump is set to sign an executive order to shut down the Department of Education, fulfilling a key campaign promise. The move faces legal challenges, with Democratic attorneys general filing lawsuits to block it. The order also eliminates diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in federally funded education. While Trump's executive action signals his intent, he will need congressional approval to dismantle the department entirely, an uphill battle with Senate Democrats opposing the plan. A U.S. judge has warned the Trump administration of possible consequences if it violated an order blocking the deportation of hundreds of Venezuelan migrants. Judge James Boasberg has extended the deadline for the government to provide details on the deportations, but expressed skepticism over national security concerns cited by the administration. Trump has called for Boasberg's impeachment, escalating tensions with the judiciary. The dispute revolves around whether the deportations violated a temporary block issued by the court. Listen in to what Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, had to say on mass deportation.
Americans can absolutely expect to see the continuation of the mass deportation campaign that has been successfully led by this president, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, and also our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. Since you brought up the judges, I would like to point out that the judges in this country are acting erroneously. We have judges who are acting as partisan activists from the bench. They are trying to dictate policy from the President of the United States. They are trying to clearly slow walk this administration's agenda, and it's unacceptable. As the President said last night, we will continue to comply with these court orders. We will continue to fight these battles in courts.
According to reports, US President Donald Trump has sent a letter to Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, setting a 2-month deadline to negotiate a new nuclear deal or face consequences. It isn't clear whether the 2-month clock begins from the time the letter was delivered on from when negotiations start, but if Iran rejects Trump's outreach and doesn't negotiate, the chances of US or Israeli military action against Iran's nuclear facilities would dramatically increase. The letter, delivered via an Emirati diplomat, rules out open-ended talks and warns Tehran against advancing its nuclear program. Trump confirmed the letter in an interview, saying he prefers diplomacy but will act militarily if necessary. Khamenei has dismissed the proposal as a US deception, while Iran's foreign ministry says it is reviewing the letter. Joshua Ribe, a 22-year-old Iowa man, once named a person of interest in the disappearance of Pittsburgh student Sudiksha in the Dominican Republic, is finally heading home. Ribe had been detained on the Caribbean island for nearly 2 weeks before receiving a new passport from the U.S. consulate. His lawyers confirmed that he is traveling back to the U.S. with his father. Authorities in the Dominican Republic have not clarified whether Ribe remains under investigation, but he is now free to leave the country. Well, the student's disappearance remains unresolved. Take a look at this report by my colleague Ridhima Ketia.
Police have identified a person of interest in the case of Sudiksha Konanki's disappearance.
The man has been questioned over disappearance of a college student during spring break in Dominican Republic.
But nobody knows where the body is, and that's the big question.
A judge has ordered the release of Joshua Reeby, the last known person to see 20-year-old Sudiksha Konanki alive. But while he walks free, her parents are left with nothing. No answers, no closure, not even a body to mourn. Konanki vanished nearly 2 weeks ago while on a spring break trip to the Dominican Republic. Reeby told investigators they were drinking in the ocean and caught in a current. Reeby claims that after struggling to get back to shore, he vomited seawater, fell asleep on a beach chair, and never saw Sudiksha again. Authorities say there is no evidence of foul play, and Reeby has not been named a suspect. But for Sudiksha's parents, that does not bring closure. After days of searching, they have now asked officials to declare their daughter legally dead. A young woman disappeared without a trace. The only person of interest is free to go, and a family is forced to accept the worst without ever knowing what really happened to their daughter. With Rhythm Arcadia, Bureau Report, NDTV World.
The Vatican has confirmed that Pope Francis is showing signs of recovery and no longer requires mechanical ventilation at night. The 88-year-old pontiff has been hospitalized since mid-Feb with pneumonia but continues to receive oxygen support. Doctors have said that his condition is improving, though no timeline for his discharge has been given. The Pope, who has faced respiratory issues since his youth, remains under medical supervision and is receiving therapy to aid his mobility. Wildfires fueled by strong winds are spreading across Texas, with the Texas A&M Forest Service responding to 14 new fires burning over 18,000 acres. San Jacinto County is among the hardest hit, with fire crews battling blazes, threatening homes and infra. In Borger, Texas, fast-moving fire forced evacuations and cut power to hundreds of residents. The wildfire threat extends beyond Texas, with Arkansas and Oklahoma also seeing dangerous conditions. Officials warn that high winds could worsen the situation, urging residents to remain prepared for further evacuations. Large brush fire near the Florida Keys caused major traffic disruptions, forcing officials to briefly shut down US 1, the main road in and out of the island chain. While US 1 has since reopened, Cart Sound Road remains closed as fire crews battle the flames. Officials warn of significant delays along an 18-mile stretch as emergency teams intermittently stop traffic for firefighting efforts. The blaze that started Tuesday afternoon has created heavy smoke in the area. Authorities continue to monitor the situation as dry conditions fuel the risk of further fires. All right, with that, it's time for a quick break here. More news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back after the break. Vehicle thefts in the US has seen their steepest annual decline in 40 years thanks to enhanced security measures from automakers, especially Hyundai and Kia. The two brands previously topped theft lists in 2021 and 2023 due to missing immobilizers, fueling viral social media trends like the Kia Boys. According to the National Insurance Crime Bureau, new anti-theft updates have led to a 37.5% drop in thefts of Kia and Hyundai models. Experts say easing supply chain issues have also made stealing cars or parts less profitable. According to a Financial Times report, NVIDIA is set to invest billions in US chip production over the next 4 years. CEO Jensen Huang revealed that the company could manufacture several $100 billion worth of electronics domestically. The move aligns with US efforts to strengthen semiconductor manufacturing amid growing competition from Chinese firms like Huawei. Nvidia's expansion could benefit from Trump administration policy supporting AI and chip development. Nike is bracing for its steepest revenue decline in nearly 5 years as weaker consumer demand and sluggish sales hit the sportswear giant. Mobile app downloads dropped by 35% in the last quarter, while foot traffic at Nike stores fell by 11%. Retailer Foot Locker, that relies heavily on Nike products, has also warned of profit margin pressures due to heavy discounting. Since September, Nike shares have fallen 19%, while rival Adidas has seen a slight stock uptick. The European Union has hit Google and Apple with new regulatory charges for allegedly violating the Digital Markets Act. The European Commission accuses Google of restricting developers from promoting external offers outside its Play Store and favoring its own services like Google Flights. Apple has been ordered to open its ecosystem to competitors. The crackdown could lead to hefty fines, with Google facing penalties of up to 10% of its annual revenue. The move comes despite Trump's threats to impose tariffs on EU nations. Amazon has lost its appeal against a record $812 million fine imposed by Luxembourg's privacy regulator for violating EU data protection laws. The fine, issued 4 years ago, stemmed from Amazon's alleged misuse of customer data under the General Data Protection Regulation. The court ruled in favor of the regulator, rejecting Amazon's argument that the penalty was based on subjective interpretations of the law. Amazon is now considering a further appeal. Australian tennis star Nick Kyrgios came from behind to defeat Mackenzie McDonald 3-6, 6-3, 6-4 in the first round of the Miami Open on Wednesday to earn his first win since October 2022. Kyrgios, who retired from his first round match at Indian Wells this month due to pain in his surgically repaired right wrist, soaked in the moment, looking skyward and taking a deep breath after sealing the win. World number 3 Alcaraz distanced himself from the class action lawsuit filed by the Professional Tennis Players Association against the governing bodies of the sport, saying it had caught him by surprise. The PTPA, an advocacy group established by Novak Djokovic and Vasek Pospisil, filed the lawsuit on Tuesday, accusing the ATP, WTA, International Tennis Federation and International Tennis Integrity Agency of anti-competitive practices. There's some breaking news now coming in. We are learning Eddie Jordan, the flamboyant former Formula One team owner and television pundit, has died at the age of 76. The Irishman, who had aggressive prostate cancer, died in the early hours of Thursday morning. Jordan, who was known across the world for his outspoken, mischievous character, achieved rare success as an independent team owner. Blake Shelton hosted a star-studded 3-hour show to celebrate 100 years of the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee. The Opry 100 Live celebration special was jam-packed with performances by country royalty, including Reba McEntire, Trisha Yearwood, Kelsey Ballerini, Amy Grant and Alan Jackson. Carrie Underwood performed an emotional tribute to living legend Randy Travis, leaving not a dry eye in the audience. The Grand Ole Opry was developed in 1925 by George T. Hay, bringing country music performances to the stage multiple nights per week. The queer comedy The Wedding Banquet had its European premiere at the BFI Flair London LGBTQIA+ festival. The film explores themes of love, friendship and lengths people go to for those they care about. At the premiere, Yang and Gladstone reflected on their own personal experiences of going the extra mile for friends.
Our 20-year high school reunion, my bestie sophomore year, I kidnapped her on her birthday morning. I called her mom the night ahead, had her mom pack an overnight bag for her. You know, she came up with a whole story that she was going to some kind of thing later that day, and then I showed up and kidnapped her and took her shopping, took her to the mall, took her to dinner, sleepover at my house, and I'd completely forgotten about it until I saw her again at our high school reunion, and she reminded me, and something that she still thinks about, which was sweet. I was like, oh yeah, I guess I did kind of go all out for that.
Well, with that, it's time to wrap this edition. More on the other side. Thanks for watching.